so much for coming.
Well, Conan, I'm Tom Hanks.
The resemblance is uncanny.
Oh,
by
yeah,
the way.
I know. You know, actually, I wanted to take that job as the angel. You have a room for that someplace on that
We'll
bear?
get you that, yeah. Boy, that'd be great for us, anytime. Now, let me ask you, first of all, I saw the movie I saw it about a week ago, and it's gripping. It's such a gripping story. It's fairly true to life, isn't it?
It's
Ron
true.
Howard and his team did a very good job of capturing what really happened.
When I first got together with Ron and he wanted to make a movie out of the book, I said, Ron, if you just take the actual story, don't hype it, just do what was there. There's so much adventure, so much suspense that your job will be what to throw out to keep the movie at a certain length. And that's what happened.
All right. Now, when you see the movie, for anyone, I think so many people are familiar with the story now, but in a nutshell, you go up with the two other astronauts, and there's an explosion. How far into the trip was it?
It was 2 days, about 200,000 miles out, and you know, it was a third flight. No one carried it. None of the networks carried it. Even the control people wanted us to turn off the TV program that we had going back down again. We did that, and bang, an explosion occurred, and then it was 4 days of trying to get home.
And it was just it's improvising a way to get back. And the thing that's you watch, especially the scene we saw right here, the tension is so high. Were there explosions like that when were you guys yelling at each other in the capsule? Were you very calm and cool? How do you prepare for something like that?
Well, we were test pilots, so we had sort of the training in the past. We were in some crises before. But, if you panic, where would you go? I mean, you could bounce off the walls for 10 minutes. As a matter of fact, that's what, Tom was saying.
Yeah.
And you're right back where you started from. So you had to say, well, what can we do to get home?
I would have just panicked for like a solid day and then maybe said, okay, now, but for a solid day, I'd have been screaming, I'd have torn my clothes off, running around, shrieking at the top of my lungs. But there was no, you really, you talk about it so calmly. You talk about it like, well, you just have to be reasonable and figure out a way. And it's hard to know. Deep inside, did you think, we're not going to make it?
Oh, I think individually we all thought, holy cow, what happens if we don't get home? We had a couple choices. We could either hit the Earth in some manner that would make us a fiery meteor for a few brief seconds. That didn't sound
That's
too
a
good.
bad option.
That was a bad option. Then we could have missed the Earth completely and probably gone into an orbit around the sun. That didn't sound too good either. Then there was the freezing, and of course it was getting very cold. Then we were being poisoned by our own exhalation because we were breathing out carbon dioxide, and the lunar module wasn't designed to support 3 guys. 2 guys okay, but not 3. And as the movie predicted, Kevin didn't want to hold his breath that long. That was Jack Swikert.
Right. So now I'm curious, because the movie was so realistic, was so lifelike. Did you actually work with Tom Hanks? Did you meet Tom Hanks and tell him?
When they decided to do the movie from the book, they came down to the Mission Control Center in Houston and the Space Center, and I met Tom for the very first time. And Tom said, I got to know your character. I have to know your mannerisms and how you talk and how you move. And he said, can we get together? And I said, yeah, why don't you come down to my house? I have a home in Horseshoe Bay, Texas, and I have an airplane down there. And spend a couple days with me, and it's kind of secluded. So he did. I took him up in the airplane. Now, he hadn't been in small airplanes much before. And before I got in the airplane, I got a call from Universal. And they said, how much insurance do you have? And I said, well...
That's a comforting call.
I said, I think the best insurance policy that he has is sitting next to him. So and we went up and we flew in the daytime, and then I took him up at night. I thought to myself, well, going to the moon, it's always dark. And maybe the best idea to teach him how to be an astronaut would be to go up at night. And we flew out to West Texas, not many lights, and it was clear night. And I had a little cutout of the lunar module window, and I put it in the windscreen of the airplane. And I said, now, Tom, this is all you're really going to see on the way to the moon. And we found a couple stars that we actually used on the flight. And then I let him fly the airplane.
What?
Yeah, well,
You let Forrest Gump take the controls of the plane?
Yeah, I was worried about that. My niece went to see the movie, Apollo 13, and she said, she's only a small little thing. She said, well, I know that they'd make it okay because Forrest Gump was flying. But,
That's incredible. The one thing I left the movie curious, you guys never did get to the moon. You never did actually get to land on the surface of the moon.
No,
did you ever? What were you planning to say when you, if you had been able to step on the surface of the moon? Did you have anything planned, or?
No, by the time the third flight went along, everybody who was going to say something already said it. So
Right. So at that point, no one. Yeah.
Yeah, so I thought to myself, if I could just get down there and land, I'll be happy. you
Right.
know. And so, no, I really didn't plan anything to say.
Well, it's really an amazing story, and I got to say, it's a kick to meet the man himself. It really is a pleasure.
Well, thanks, Conan.
Best
It's,
of luck with the
yeah.
book, and
Yeah, we've had the book now. Jeff Kluger and I wrote it started about 2 years ago, and it took us 2 years to get it out. And then it was called Lost Moon, and then when the paperback came out, they changed it to Apollo 13. And I said, well, that's fine because the movie's Apollo 13. So.
yeah, and it's selling like hotcakes.
Yeah, it's really going to town right now. It really is nice.
Sir, very nice to meet you.
Oh,
Thank you
my
very
pleasure.
much.
My pleasure. Take
Stay
care.
right here. You stay right here. Of course, the movie's Apollo 13. The book is Apollo 13. Folks, we'll be right back. Jim Lovell, everybody.